Hey everybody, it's George. Welcome back. I hope you're doing great wherever you are in the world. I had a conversation with a couple of people, one from America, a couple from Canada, and then two couples from England who were looking at moving and finally making retirement and pension plans for Portugal. And we had a call because they are focusing on Lisbon specifically, and they know that we live there, so they wanted to find out maybe neighborhoods to look at, neighborhoods to avoid. And I wanted to, after speaking with them, make this video because as many of you are looking to move to Portugal, if you're watching this video, Lisbon often shows up as one of the top places, obviously, to consider because it's the capital, largest city, great transportation, lots of culture and history there, but it is also very expensive. So for example, if you're moving from London to Lisbon, you're probably saving money because if you have a flat in London and let's say you own property, you're probably able to sell it for a lot and then move to Lisbon and do well. If you're from the US, if you're from New York, maybe Washington, D.C., Miami, Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, if you're from Vancouver or Montreal or Toronto in Canada, places that might have high cost of living, you may be able to move to Lisbon and gosh, get stuff for so cheap. And especially like say for your New York and San Francisco, people feel like they're getting bargains when they're going, when the rest of us that are moving are going, this is no bargain at all. We were looking at property as far back as 2017, moved in 2019. And that alone is in speaking to these people, and why I wanted to make this video for you is that whether you're renting or buying, Lisbon itself is not a good place, or I'll say a great place to buy, or yeah, good. It's a terrible place to buy right now. And the thing is I don't think that's going to go away. The prices keep creeping up every year. You've seen videos. The experts say it's going to pop this year, or we predict the real estate's going to pop. Well, it hasn't, and there's no reason for it to go down anytime soon because of the lack of, I'll say, habitable supply and the demand of people needing housing. But what I wanted to do is when I was discussing on this call with people, and I wanted to make this video about, is that Lisbon, the city center, that is a place that I wouldn't, and if we were to move back, we wouldn't even move back to the same neighborhood because it's so expensive now. But as you're moving out from the center of Lisbon, what I would do is if you still are thinking about Lisbon, I would try this. Go to Google Maps, go to Lisbon, maybe do the Praça de Comércio, which is right downtown in Lisbon, and then just start looking at what's 45 minutes to the west, 45 minutes to the north, 45 minutes to kind of the northeast, and then on the south side of the River Tejo, what is, let's say, a half hour to 45 minutes to the south and east and southwest of Lisbon. And when you start getting outside of that main area, yes, many people want to live in that main area. It's why the prices are what they are. But when you start getting out into, let's say, more rural communities, maybe you still have a train connection, maybe you still have a bus connection to get in and out of Lisbon if you choose to, as opposed to having to need a car. There are many places south of Lisbon, south of the River Tejo, all the way from the west along the coast, Costa de Caparica, and below that, moving east, frankly, all the way to Évora, which is the kind of the entrance to some of the Alentejo, the great Alentejo wine region, and then moving back towards Lisbon, all the way up to Santarém, and you go north of Lisbon 45 minutes or so, maybe an hour, and you get some great smaller communities that are not going to break the bank. And you could even, if you wanted to live on the coast, you could even go west of Lisbon and north of Sintra and Cascais. So Ericeira, the Silver Coast, they call it. Peniche, Nazaré, if you wanted to live right on the water or in a community that's next to the water, you could live there for a fraction of the price of what you would in those towns that I mentioned or cities at the top of the video. It's just Lisbon in and of itself is just too expensive, and it's priced out many people that are looking for property. When we were looking for property, we were looking for 200,000 to 300,000 euros to buy. That still would be, if we're moving almost 6 years later back to Portugal, it would be the same thing. And everybody on the call, whether they were looking for, they were all looking to buy something, and they all wanted to stay if they could reasonably between 300,000 euros. That was going to be their max. Well, depending on what they want, there's just a smaller amount of that based upon what they're looking for that they're going to be able to find in the center of Lisbon. But as you start moving away, you'll find that things are definitely more affordable very quickly. I also think that the quality of life, from those of you that comment that live outside of Lisbon, there seemed to be a more positive quality of life, less problems or issues or angst about living in Portugal, and it's more of, to some degree, maybe a more authentic way of living. So I wanted to make this video because after I talked to these people and told them that, Lisbon, if you want everything in your property that you say you want, you're going to spend more than you think, and your quality of life, you're just going to have less in your budget to do things. And Lisbon is nice, but it's not worth breaking the bank for any reason. Sorry, I mean, I've lived there, and that's not meant to be a negative thing. There are probably hundreds of cities around the world that I would say the same thing to. Beautiful to visit, but not worth breaking the bank to stay. So as you're considering Portugal and you're considering Lisbon, I would immediately consider going half hour to, let's say, an hour outside of the Lisbon city center and seeing what's there. Opens up the possibilities for you, gives you a lot more to think about, and maybe a lot better quality of life and bang for your buck, your loonie, your pound than what you're thinking right now. As always, thank you so much for watching, and enjoy your travels. And if you made it this far, please look on Amazon, type in my name, and try to buy a book or two. It helps the cause. Thank you so much.